Hi there, Tracy here. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this adorable little get well bunny. Isn't he adorable? So let's go ahead and jump right in. So what I'm going to be using for today's video, I've got this fun foam, and this doesn't have any sticky on it. It's from Creatology. I get it at Michael's. And I'm going to use a blue piece. I don't have any teal. If I have teal, I'd use it. And I'm going to be using the Emergency Card Kit Die Set, Essentials 1, the Dir-Tea Bunny. I went by too fast with that. The Indispensable, and the Simply Sentimental Hugs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by just trimming this paper down a little bit. I like to leave an outside edge for myself. I have some double-sided sticky tape from scrapbook.com. This is 6 inches wide. If you had tear tape, it would work. Any kind of tape, but you do want full coverage. You could even use glue if you wanted to, but who wants to wait for it to dry? So I just lay my piece down on the glue, and it doesn't have to cover it 100%. And then I just trim it off with my knife, the excess sticky paper. And this stuff is super, super sticky. So once you stick it down, it's stuck. So I'm just going to kind of burnish this down with my hand and then grab my tweezers and pull up the backer here. And I'm going to stick it down to that piece of foam. So you could use foam tape too if you wanted to. No big deal. But this is just so much easier, and you're going to see why. And maybe some of you that use this any of these kind of foams, notice that they'll stretch out, but if you glue your paper down first, it won't stretch. So I'm going to grab my dies from the Emergency Card Kit Essentials set number 1, and I'm going to position them on here. I'm going to tape them down, just using a little bit of mint tape. And I'll tape it down in a couple of spots because this is some slippery paper and I don't want anything slipping off. And then I'll tape down where I want my aperture here. And I'll also cut with that aperture piece, with the circle piece, I'll cut another color pattern paper. So here it is all cut out, and it's nice and neat. And then I've got my little background, and we can save this little disc for a future card. And so this is how the card is going to look. It's going to be indented, and you could do even a couple of layers if you want it even deeper. But I just want a little bit of depth there, just for some interest on the card. So next I'm going to stamp out my stamps that I'm going to be using. So I'm using several from the Indispensable, and I'm using the Dir-Tea Bunny. And what's cool about this bunny is the die, the coordinating die that cuts out the little arms so he can have his arm around something, holding on to something. He was designed to hold a cup of coffee, but he can hold anything, my friend. You just have to be creative with, what he's holding, the size of it, because there's not a lot of distance between the edge of his funny little teeth and his, hind end that he's sitting on. So you don't want to cover his little face. I don't want to cover his little face anyway. So I'm going to be stamping with some alcohol marker friendly ink here. And I'll stamp all these down, and I need to stamp the lid twice. Now the one little smaller rectangular piece is meant to be a label, but I'm going to use it as a jar because it fits perfectly in the little dirty bunny's hands. And you'll see that in a minute after I color and everything. So I'll go ahead and clean my stamps and put them back because I still want to stamp out the one little bottle lid because I want a couple of bottles in the background. So we'll put Dirty Bunny away, and then let's just stamp this right here. And there we go. And I do give this a chance to dry before I actually color on it. It doesn't take long, and I am using some alcohol marker paper, friendly paper as well. So I've got my little stamp block, and I'm going to grab the little pill. And I'm going to mask off my 2 little pill bottles and stamp little pills inside. There is a coordinating die for that. You could just cut them out and glue them on if you wanted to, but I didn't want to get too much dimension there. You could also cut a little mask and just, have a few little masks and mask off and stamp over. Up to you, but I'm perfectly fine with a single layer of pills here. And I'm not coloring my bottles today other than adding a little bit of dimension to them because I want them white. I don't want to distract or add too much color. Your typical pill bottle is, certified ugly brown, or I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Orange, I guess. Orange would have worked, but I decided to use red as an accent color to the teal color in this today. I kind of like that combination. I like the orange and teal combination too, by the way. But I don't have any orange Happy Pills because I will be using our embellishment, the Happy Pills embellishments, and I'm going to be using the red and white ones. So we'll go ahead and stamp some pills in our small bottle here. And the little lid works fine on the small bottle too, or the label, which I'm calling a small bottle. Get one more here. And we've got all our pills. All we have left to do with that is color and cut it out. I'll color these on camera at high speed, but I'm going to cut them out off camera. And the reason for that is that typically I'll use my Vagabond and it's on the other side of the room, so I don't have a camera over there. So here are the colors I'm coloring with. These are Ohuhu markers. Use what you have. I know that Trinity is now carrying Olo markers, and maybe you've tried them. I've never tried one, so I have no idea. This Ohuhu is my budget. And so I'm just kind of, blending colors here. I want a little bit more of that darker color. And I'm making my, I don't know, maybe it's milk of magnesia. And then I'm going to color in my little pills. And I'm going to color them in the sort of tealy color. And I'm not doing fancy coloring on them, friends. Just a couple of colors. We'll add some red here. And then everything else, other than the bunny ears and nose, everything else is going to be light grays in the C family, in the light C family. So I'm just kind of coloring the outsides of the bottles, giving them a little bit of dimension. And also, I need to remember how I want to place these because that's going to determine where the heavier shadows are. So we'll get a little bit more heavy shading in here. Then I'll take my colorless blender and blend them out, get a little bit more gray over there, and then I'll do the bunny. And I'm basically just outlining the bunny, super easy. And, coloring in all the spots that need to be dark. And this is my darkest of my gray trio. And I'll come in with the lighter one and fill in a little bit more. I'll come in with the lightest. Let's get some little on his feet. Oh yeah, I did put some pink on his feet too. And then I'm just using my colorless blender to blend that all out. And it looks dark, friends, while it's wet, but it dries much, much lighter, and you'll see once those are cut out. So now I'm going to just take my white gel pen and add some white highlights on the pills, on the lids, a little bit on the bunny, on his nose. All right, so here they are all cut out, and I did fussy cut my bottles, and the reason for that is so that the lids fit nicely on them. I want that smallest bottle to fit perfectly on the bunny. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue my lids on here. And it looks weird going back to normal speed after being at high speed, I know. Sorry about that. So while I'm gluing these down, I just wanted to remind you, if you're not already subscribed to the Trinity Stamps channel, to please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time we upload a video. And Carrie has been doing a lot of more lives lately, so that's a lot of fun to come to our lives. And sometimes she does giveaways. So here's my little bottle, which was actually the label. And give us a thumbs up if you like the video. And I will have everything listed in the description box down below where you can get what I'm using here today. So here's what I was talking about. The little bunny's arms will come out. So the die is designed that way so he can hold on to one of those coffee mugs. But he's going to be holding on to the short pill bottle here today. Let's get this little bit of excess glue off. And let me wipe that off on my hand because my hands are handy. And I'm just going to kind of pry open his arms and stuff that bottle in there. That's so cute. I can't even. I love these bunnies, and there's so many uses for them other than their intended use. Kind of like some of those new medications you see on TV, like you'll see the same name of a medication for different illnesses. We won't talk about the side effects. Our medications don't have any side effects other than a smile. Oh, that was cliche, wasn't it? Okay, what are we doing now? I've got all these guys together, and now I want to kind of decide how I want to place them, because I'm going to have the pill bottles back behind, as if he's, maybe sitting in the medicine cabinet. I don't know. Trying to hand you some Tylenol or something. Okay, I like that glue bottle there. Now this one I struggle with a little bit, but because I probably should have stamped more pills up higher. So I'm trying to decide how I want to put this, and I want each one of them kind of at an angle, but I don't want too much of an angle because I don't want to destroy the aesthetics of, him sitting inside the circle, which, you saw at the beginning and you'll see again at the end. Let's see, let's try moving him instead. And sometimes I just struggle with moving things. Come on. Oh my goodness, getting old is not for the weak. All right, let's see. Can we get it where we want and commit? Thank goodness I use liquid glue, right? There we go. I'm happy with that. I know I will have to trim some of that bottle off because I'm going to have him sitting, in the circle. All right, so let's get a little bit of tape on here. I'm going to come around the back and lost my glue. There it is. If it was a snake, it would have bit me. Let's get my bottles just glued back down behind, and then I'm going to add some low profile foam tape to that, so it is lower than the bunny itself. But let's work on putting the card together because we want to put something heavy on it and wait for the glue to dry. So I've got a top folding white card base here, and I'm just going to use some liquid glue here. And honestly, if you have good faith in tape, you could use tape too. But what I love about liquid glue on this stuff is there's a lot of wiggle room because it takes longer to dry because it's on the foam. So we'll go ahead and just add quite a bit of glue. And then I'll position it on my card base. And once I get it down exactly where I want it, I'll put something heavy on it just to give it time to dry, and so it doesn't kind of curl up, because it does curl up a little bit. It'll sit back down, no problem, but you want the glue to kind of grab. So I'll just set that there, and then I'll decide where I want my bunny to be sitting on my background circle. He's got a little spotted background there. I don't know. This is fun because, it's a reminder to use your pattern paper, because I know each and every one of you has probably hordes and hordes of 6x6 pattern papers that you never use. Time to get them out. So I've got my foam tape on, and I'm going to set him where I want him on the circle. And I am sort of setting the circle on the card where I want it, just so I have kind of all my positioning the way I want it. I'll set him down, and then I'll trim off the excess because that circle is going to inset inside of that foam. So I have to have that trimmed off. Now, if you put enough foam tape on him, you could have him sitting over the top of it, but that's not the look I'm looking for today. So that's how I want it to sit in there, and I'm ready to glue it in. And see, it'll just sit down inside. You have to kind of, give it a little bit of a encouragement. And then I'm going to take it back out and actually put glue down. So I just wanted to test and make sure that my trimming was good. And I'll just add some liquid glue and kind of place him where I want him. And I have enough glue in there where I have wiggle room there too. Well, plus a lot of times with these pattern papers, they're a little bit slick, so they take a little bit longer to grab. So I can just kind of rotate that until it's in a happy place for me. This little bunny, stop it. Okay, I'll set this down on here and let it dry, and I'll be using the hugs from the Simply Sentimental hugs. I'll be using the little cursive one, and then I'm going to be from the Indispensable using Sending Healing hugs, and I'm just going to cut the hugs off. So I'll do all those things off camera, and we'll come back and complete putting this card together. So I have my hugs, and I've done the foreground in red, and then I've stamped the Sending Healing hugs with the let's see, what did I use? VersaFine Clair in Warm Breeze. So that's kind of the teal color in the VersaFines. I'm going to pop up the Sending Healing, and I'm going to glue flat down the hugs. You could layer them up if you wanted to, but because I had to trim some off, I felt like it was going to be better if I just use a little bit of foam. So there I've got my Sending Healing. And I like the combination of two different fonts on a sentiment. So we'll just add some liquid glue. Set this down where I want it. And it's kind of straddling the little circle, and that's fine. And then I'm going to do the hugs, and see what I mean? It's that pattern paper is kind of slick, so stuff will slippy slide around on it if you aren't carefully monitoring. And there's our hugs. Place it where I want it, and I'll kind of give it a little bit of a hold here for a few seconds. And now I'm going to grab my Happy Pills and my little tidy tray. And I'm going to dump a bunch of them out in there because there are several sizes, and I just want the small, flattest ones for this card. I'm just going to do 3. You could go crazy on it. You could make it a shaker. Let's see, let's make sure that little part's stuck on. And let's go ahead, and I just like to add my glue and then come in with my little embellishments. So I'm going to grab one of the red and white ones because I want to pull in a little bit more of that red. And you could do your favorite colors, your friend's favorite colors, your loved one, whoever you're making the card for. Or if you're just making it for charity, you could do it in several colors. Let's get another little, these little smiley faces are so adorable. And then let's get one more down on the other pill bottle where I had wished I had stamped more pills. Come here, you. There we go. I am perfectly happy with this card. I hope you like it. I get looking at it. Okay, I see the bottom now. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, let me pick up here just for a second here, and then I'll lift up this card so you can see it a little bit more up close. And then there are some still pictures at the end of the video. So you can see the dimension there, but it's not warpy at all. It's perfectly straight. I hope you like this video. If you do, please leave me a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comments below, and I'll have everything listed as usual. Thanks for visiting the Trinity Stamps channel, and have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.